I recently increased the size of my vegetable garden, and I needed to put up a fence. So I obtained about 15 pallets, and I set about dismantling them. I showed how I did that in another video. Process is pretty quick when you've got a good tool. The hardest part is pounding the nails out afterwards. That's tedious. I got quite a bit of good wood out of the pallets. And then I found this wood at my neighbors down the street. They had a sign out front that said free. They had just recently taken apart a deck, so I used this wood as well. So I started by taking those deck boards that I had just found, and I split them in half on my table saw. And then I used this jig that I built so that the runners would always be in the same place. So I put those runners down, and then I marked on the ends 2 inches from the side. I just had a board that was cut to 2 inches. And then I took my pallet boards and I laid them down. For this fence, I decided to go with random widths and random lengths for my fence panels. I thought it was kind of a neat look. Once I got the boards where I like them, then I just simply screwed them in. I put 2 screws on each of the end boards and on all of the wide boards in between, but on the skinnier boards I only put 1 screw in. I only had a couple of boards split on me without using pilot holes. I just replaced those boards when they did split. Once I had many of the panels made, then I had to go about digging for the posts. I used the 2x4s for the posts for this project. Those 2x4s that I had found from my neighbors. They're green treated, so they're good for this project. And I went down about 36 inches. And then once I had that in, or had the hole made, then I had to line up the board so that it was square both ways. Backfill, and then I tamped with another 2x4 so that the wood was the soil was nice and solid. I got smart later on, and I attached the fence panels before I filled up the holes, and then that way I could move the fence panel where it needed to be before I backfilled. That way the posts were in exactly the right spot. So you can see me here tamping down the dirt to make that post solid. You can see I used a string just to line up all of the posts and ended up with a pretty straight fence. I was happy with the way that turned out. Towards the house here, I had concrete to deal with, and the fence rode over that concrete. So I dropped a couple of posts and then attached that fence from those posts that I dropped down. Here you can see I had a gap in some areas on one end. So I took a measurement of that gap, and then I marked it on the other end, made a mark, drew a line, and then simply cut with my circular saw. And as you can see here, now I have that perfect angle for the slope of the ground. And here's an example of what that looked like once I did that cut. Dropped it in and it lines up beautifully. I wanted to be able to remove the panels in case I needed to get into the garden with and not have those fences in the way. So I put these boards on the posts and then filed that up with this little gadget, I guess you call it, another board screwed in behind those. The idea here is then those runners can slip in to those spaces that I just created. So now those posts or those panels are in, and I can lift them out, pull them out of the way, and I can work in the garden without that panel there. And then when I'm done, I can drop the panel in and I'm good to go. Here's the gate. I used some Z-bracing there to help keep it from racking when it's opening. And here is the finished fence. Well, finished, I still need to paint it or stain it. And then I'm probably going to have to do something along the ground because rabbits like to dig. So I may have to put either some concrete blocks along the side, or some people recommend just putting down some of that rabbit fencing on the ground flat to prevent the rabbits from digging. But I'm very happy with my new fence, and it cost me virtually nothing, just the cost of some screws and a little bit of hardware. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the support.